Hey, I'm Wally Adamchik, president of Firestarter Speaking and Consulting, and welcome to the Word of the Week, where we take one of the key words out of construction leadership from A to Z. Today, it's the letter M, and it's called model. Example is not the main thing in influencing others. It's the only thing. Now, various people have been given credit for that, but a definition of model would be a standard or example for imitation or comparison. The opposite would be pretender or fake. You cannot lead people from behind a desk. Stepping away from the desk allows you to accomplish several objectives. You can role model proper behavior, inspire and influence your people, enable direct communication, and simply be visible. In Peters and Waterman's classic book, In Search of Excellence, this technique is called management by walking around. Despite its deceptively simple name, being a good role model is one of the most important and sometimes difficult elements of good leadership. Effective leaders generally don't ask people to do something they themselves would not do. Now, at this point in their careers, they may not actually do the thing they are asking, but they will have done it in the past or be very familiar with how it is done and are capable of doing it today. Dwight D. Eisenhower had a keen understanding of leadership. After the invasion of North Africa in 1942, he said, "Optimism and pessimism are infectious, and they spread more rapidly from the head downward than in any other direction." Psychologists confirm what Eisenhower knew and have observed that bad habits can spread through an office like a contagious disease. Employees tend to mirror the bad behaviors of their coworkers, with factors as diverse as low morale, poor working habits, theft, all rising based on the negative behavior of peers. People are looking for role models. There was even a website, rolemodel.net, on this very subject. I don't know if it still exists. Website notwithstanding, your employees will look to you, the boss and leader, and model. See what your habits are. You are always leading by example, whether you intend to or not. What remains for you is to model the behavior with a positive example. The old saying, a good example has twice the value of good advice, makes my point. Consider the do as I say, not as I do supervisor. We've all worked for one of those at one time or another. We don't trust or respect them, but we may adopt some of their bad habits. Do they pick up a stray piece of trash from the floor? Delegate that task, or worse, ignore it. If the boss stops to pick up garbage, everyone gets the message that if the leader can do this, we can all do it. What about safety? If it isn't important to the boss, it will not be important to the employees. Leaders should model proper customer service, safety, communication, punctuality, listening, and so much more. In fact, a piece of advice given to aspiring leaders is to watch the boss. CareerBuilder.com listed observing leadership qualities of the boss and then emulating them as one of the top ways to accelerate your move into a leadership position. I was collaborating with the Disney Institute, the business consulting and education arm of the Disney Corporation, on a project, and I was given a behind-the-scenes tour of Walt Disney World. I learned about the spacing of garbage cans on Main Street, USA, and that among all the 65,000 union employees in Disney World Orlando, none was given the title of custodian or janitor. It was up to all the employees to keep the park clean, with the help of visitors who will walk only so far to put something in a trash can, hence that trash can spacing. What made an insightful demonstration even more interesting was the consultants picking up trash as we walked through the park. We did not walk by a single piece. St. Francis of Assisi instructed, preach the gospel, and when necessary, use words. His point was that you can talk to people all day long and not convince them, but show them, and they might believe you. The Marines take appearance pretty seriously. It's part of the whole attention to detail thing. They cite bearing as one of the leadership traits and define it as creating a favorable impression in carriage, appearance, and personal conduct at all times. Quite simply, as an officer of Marines, I had to adhere to an ideal in my conduct and appearance. How could I take my Marines to task for being out of uniform if I was out of uniform too in some way? Clearly, I couldn't. In physical training, I wasn't the fastest, but I certainly worked the hardest and sent the message that that was what I expected. Setting the example is not conditional. It's an all-the-time thing, and it isn't a new concept either. Samurai Hojo Soon wrote in the late 1500s, "Get up early in the morning to set a good example for your people. If you begin to be lax, you will be fired." In the 21st century, the way we apply the principle may differ, but the principle itself is constant. When the stakes are high and the risks are great, this is even more vital. Leaders set the example through physical courage and, more important, moral courage. Demonstrate the right thing and be a role model for your people to follow. One of my favorite quotes, "What you are doing is screaming so loudly I can't hear you." I have no idea who said it, but it's a favorite. All right, let's jumpstart your model ability here. Look in the mirror. Are you pleased with what you see? Control your language. Read leadership presence. And smile. All right, let's see model in action. Louis Gabbana is the chairman of Colas North America, a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure company with operations in the US and Canada. There are a number of things that set him apart, but he's a fierce combination of drive for results with a clear understanding of the importance of motivating and taking care of people. He makes commitments and delivers on them. He's a gentleman. Every year, Colas University conducts a number of programs that require managers to come to a central location for a week or even 9 days. Louis ensures he has these dates on his calendar so he can be there for the closing graduation to address the class. Everything else that gets on his calendar subsequent to the education programs must fit around the programs. He has committed to attending, and he does. In 15 years, he only missed one closing, and that was due to a family emergency. When he addresses the class, he consistently talks about corporate values with a focus on integrity, career development, and corporate strategy. After his comments, he opens the floor for questions from the class. In doing so, he models the openness and communication he feels is important for his organization to succeed. Although he sets a fine example, he is concerned about how his employees carry themselves and interact with customers, suppliers, and the public. This concern heightened with the influx of Gen Yers and into management and Gen Zs into the company, and to counter the trend of any reduced appearance that they might make, he instituted etiquette training for his new managers. Maintaining his composure at all times, he is unflappable. While he is quick to enjoy a laugh, he is restrained in showing disappointment with employees. He expects them to have the details on an issue and be ready to discuss it. Just as he models full disclosure and openness, he expects it in return. He knows this is the best chance he has to get unfiltered information with which to make sound decisions. Gabbana has risen to the very top of one of the most successful construction companies in the world by working hard, producing results, and creating a great team. He serves as a role model for his people inside of and then outside of the organization and is truly respected by all. All right, let's do some application here on this word model. Hopefully you got your journal and you're ready to go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate on this trait? What about your behavior do you wish was different? Who is a role model for you and why? For whom are you a role model? Well, there you have it. Construction leadership from A to Z, 26 words to lead by, and today was brought to you by the letter M, model. I'm Wally Adamchik, president of Firestarter Speaking and Consulting, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.